What up, everybody? It's your boy Glitch. So, as you can already tell by the title of this video, I'm going to be talking about growing up in Chicago, the Windy City. I feel like, mainly because of all of the stories that keep circulating around and the media, that everyone, their grandma and her cat is afraid of moving to Chicago or even coming to visit here. You know, with the crime scenes and the criminals and the gangbangers and the shooting and the stabbing and little stuff like that. People don't really like this city. Well, I am here as a Chicago native to give you my opinions on living in Chicago. I love living in the city, but there are of course some pros and cons. First of all, growing up in Chicago is just as boring as growing up somewhere nobody knows about and then moving to Chicago. Why, you might ask? Because as a little kid, growing up in Chicago means absolutely nothing. If you're 5 years old, there is no more for you to do in Chicago than in some random town.
James, you live in Arizona? Yep, there's nothing to do there. In Chicago, I can go to the park.
You see how that argument doesn't work? I mean, there's parks literally everywhere. So, for a 5-year-old, Chicago doesn't mean anything. However, when you get older, Chicago becomes heaven. I'm 16 years old, so I can pretty much go wherever I want. And I'm only 4 miles away from downtown, so I just hop on a quick train and then the world is open to me. There's everything here. I'm talking about go-kart racing, paintballing, shopping, Navy Pier, and of course, really big buildings to stare at. Which, by the way, is actually 90% of the reason why most tourists come to big cities. I mean, to look at a building that sits there and does nothing. If you're lucky and you stare for a really long time, you might even get to see an office light turn off, but other than that, yeah, there's nothing. But my point is, there is plenty to do in Chicago. You never have to be bored. Now, before I end this video, I already know I do have to address the crime in Chicago. And yes, there is a lot of crime going on in Chicago. But before you cancel your trip to visit, let me give you a quick lesson. Chicago is a huge city. I mean, like, it's really big. Most people, when they're talking about coming to Chicago, are not talking about 90% of the city. They're talking about the downtown area. And let me help you, that is not where the crime is. People are not getting stabbed daily downtown right next to the Willis Tower. So if you are coming to visit, you can still come and be safe. It's places that perimeter the downtown area, which is where you're gonna find most of the crime. You know, the places otherwise deemed by most as ghetto areas. That's where you're gonna find a lot of crime, and sometimes, I will be honest, it is as bad as people say. Like, that is where you're going to find people get shot up. That's where you're gonna see kids get stabbed. It is also home to some of the weirdest names on the planet, like Bonquisha. Like, okay, I live in one of those areas that's not as popular as everywhere else, and I'm telling you, every time I meet somebody new, I feel like their parents got their name straight out of a Star Wars book. Like, hello, Obi-Wan Kenobi, I am Master Bonquisha. But even in those areas that aren't very popular, where there might be more crime than in other places, you will still find really great people. So, overall rating for living in Chicago, I will give it an 8 out of 10. Yeah. Alright guys, hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.